戦いの神アレスを倒したことで人間に過ぎなかったクレイトスが新たなる神となった。だがオリュンポスの神々は彼を相手にしなかった。
It wasn't rare for Sony to ship their higher-profile titles to Japan. Icons like Ratchet & Clank, Jak and Daxter, and Crash Bandicoot all traveled across the Pacific, albeit with a few noticeable changes. Even lesser-known offerings like Primal and Ghost Hunter found their way to Japanese shores. Today, we're diving into an experimental video where we peel back the layers on God of War's 2 Japanese release. We'll explore the changes and uncover some facts that even the most die-hard fans might not have heard of. God of War 2 made its grand entrance in Japan on October 25, 2007 under the banner of Capcom as God of War 2 Shuin Jukyuku, which translates to God of War 2 Prelude to the End. Sony's choice of Capcom as the publisher was due to their strong association with action-packed games like Onimusha and Devil May Cry. This collaboration wasn't a first. Sony and Capcom had previously teamed up for the release of the action-adventure game Mark of Cree. For a Western game, God of War 2 had an optimistic launch week in Japan, selling 36,854 units. While the exact sales figures beyond this are elusive, these initial numbers suggest that God of War 2 performed quite okay in a market traditionally dominated by local titles. God of War 2 was released in Japan with a retail price of 7,314 yen, including taxes, according to GameWatch. Then around a year later, a best price release was made available for God of War 2. One of the changes I noticed quite early while playing the Japanese version is the censorship in the game. If you've been playing Japanese games for a while now, you're aware that SERO, the Computer Entertainment Rating Organization, are strict regarding nudity and violence in video games. You won't see any naked breasts in the Japanese version, quite frankly. For instance, the part where you get to make out with the girls in the Rhodes bathhouse is changed. The girls aren't completely naked, but they're still wearing revealing clothes that hides their nipples. The same goes for any instance of the game, including one of the cutscenes from Kratos' vision while speaking to Gaia. The woman has her back covered, unlike the Western release. This extends to the game's monsters and bosses as well. Gorgons, for instance, have blurred nipples, and Laxis, one of the Sisters of Fate, is depicted with her breasts covered by a piece of metal. Similarly, Uriel and Cloto have their nipples also blurred out. However, there's one enemy in the game that didn't have their nipples blurred, the Siren Widows. You can still see them as they move around, attack and shriek. I think they're slightly blurred, but you can see them clearly with a closer look. Was this left untouched by mistake, or did Capcom just assume nobody would notice? Who knows? Most of the violence in the game was left untouched, but there are some instances where explicit violence was nerfed, or rather removed altogether. For instance, the part where Kratos encounters the barbarian from the first game and the cutscene of him slicing his head off is removed. Instead, it's replaced with a quick black screen. Not only this scene, but also the part where a barbarian sends an arrow that pierces through a Spartan soldier's skull received the same treatment.
Kratos! アレスのしもべよ、あの日を覚えているか、スパルタ人。忘れられるものではない。ついにこの時が来たのだ。貴様の首が飛ぶ時が。
Another example of toning down the explicit violence in God of War 2 is the cutscene where Prometheus has his liver eaten by a bird. In the Western release, Prometheus is shown suffering and in severe pain while having his liver eaten by a ferocious bird. The Japanese version, however, shortened that cutscene to the point where the depiction of Prometheus' liver being savagely eaten is removed. We still see his liver regenerate and hear his plea for Kratos to end his suffering, but the main cutscene showing his torment is heavily toned down. Some of the characters' sounds in the game are removed. For instance, the warrior you come across lying on the ground, who is sacrificed to open a path for you, doesn't utter any expression of pain when thrown into the machine.
No, what are you doing? I need your help. 助けてくれ。もう俺はダメだ。イエス様を頼む。
God of War 2 size differs from one regional version to another. The North American release is 6.3 GB, the PAL release is 5.9 GB, whereas the Japanese version is 6 GB. The game was dubbed into Japanese, featuring renowned voice actors like Teisho Genda, Reiko Suzuki, Toshihiko Kojima, and more. Interestingly, I have found that a few characters in the game share the same voice actor. For instance, Atlas and Prometheus are voiced by the same actor. Hiroki Ichikawa voices Kronos and Thesis. The Barbarian King and Typhon share the same voice actor, Masafumi Kimura. And lastly, Sayuri Sadaoka voices Uriel and Kloto. And that concludes the end of this video. Hopefully someone found this as interesting as I did. I hope that this video does well so I can explore other installments in the franchise. That's all for this video. Thanks, goodbye.